Hi. Today I had the opportunity to attend the Digital Economy Whitebook launch, which was hosted by uh, European Chamber of Commerce in Singapore. One of the highlights of that event was a fireside chat that Dr Lovneesh Chanana hosted. Minister Gan Kim Yong, who is the Minister for Industry and Trade in Singapore. The conversation was wide-ranging and very insightful. I wanted to share the top 3 things that I learned from the conversation with you guys. First and foremost, I don't think there is any conversation these days that happens without bringing up artificial intelligence and the impact that it will have on the job market and what needs to be done in order to be able to upskill, reskill people so that those who lose their jobs to the technology are still productively employed within the economy. So when someone asked this question, when the minister said he was very confident that Singaporeans citizens will actually be able to reskill and upskill themselves, and that they do this on an ongoing basis. He said something which I will never forget in a long time. He said, to learn is to live, which is if you're not learning, you're not living. I think that was a very profound statement. Every day that we live, we are learning something or the other, or we should be learning something or the other. Whether we process it consciously, whether we learn it consciously or subconsciously is a different thing, but we are learning. And the day we stop learning is the day we stop living. So I think very insightful session, a very insightful and deep insight that is. I've also mentioned this multiple times that once machines start learning, they'll never stop. Neither should we. So lifelong learning is fundamental for all of the human race if we want to continue to stay relevant and productive members of the society. So that's point number 1 that I think was really insightful. The second thing is he insisted and brought up thinking in ecosystems multiple times in answers to multiple questions. I have written about this long back as well. I strongly believe that we are living in a time when we have stopped competing as individual organizations. Now we instead compete as networks, the entire value chains. So we are competing from one value chain to the other, one supply chain to the other. So it is important that when we are thinking about digital transformation, whether we are thinking about efficiency, whether we are thinking about innovation, to not stop within our 4 walls of the organization. We need to look at our vendors, our suppliers, our customers, the entire value chain. And when we look at the entire value chain, we can actually figure out where the bottleneck is. And if we can address the bottleneck, then the amount of innovation and the amount of energy and the amount of success it can actually bring or unleash is just phenomenal. And this is something that the minister mentioned multiple times, which I think is, again, very insightful. So number 1, lifelong learning. To learn is to live. Number 2, thinking in ecosystems. Last but not the least, I think he spoke about the importance of sense making. So someone asked a question around the challenges when it comes to data integration and removing silos. So he spoke about the importance of not just leaving data in silos, bringing them together on a single platform, but at the same time not missing the context in which the data is generated. And he also insisted that it is not just enough for us to bring all the data onto one platform. It is what we do next that matters the most. which is what is sense making. How can we make sense of all this data that we are generating on an ongoing basis? All this data that we are bringing from multiple systems, multiple silos into one platform with the context. He said this is one area where the artificial intelligence tools can play a significant role in helping us make sense of all of this petabytes of data that we create or generate every day. So I think sense making is probably the only thing that we will do for now. While artificial intelligence tools will be able to make sense, but they still are not evolved enough to make sense in a way we as humans can make sense. So it's still going to be something that we as humans will need to do for some time now. So in conclusion, I think it was a great event. I learned a lot, and this is the first time I listened to any minister, and this is the first picture that I have with a minister in the frame as well. So, but based on what I heard, I think Singaporeans are in good hands. So let's continue to learn. Let's think in ecosystems, and let's learn how to make sense of the world that we live in.